Hello, dears. Hello, dear. Hello, everyone. Could you hear me? Hello, everyone. Anyone can tell me, could you hear me?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Greetings to all the participants present here. This is Neha Jayaraman, Business Development Executive from Quvae Research and Publications. I would like to welcome you all on behalf of Quvae Research and Publications. To start with, let me give you a brief about Quvae Research and Publications. Quvae serves as a platform to publish research articles in prominent journals and conference proceedings. We assist authors in publishing their research findings in high impact factor journals, promoting their work, enhancing their reputation, and building a strong scientific profile. As we all know, among several indexing databases, Scopus is one of the most preferred for publishing articles. The wide recognition and impact of these journals makes them highly valued in their academic careers. We have recently collaborated with the Scopus Q1 journal called F1000 Research, published by Taylor and Francis. And authors can now easily submit their articles through our partnered gateway with F1000. It is an open research publishing platform for scientists, scholars, and clinicians that offers rapid publication of articles and other research outputs without any editorial bias. All the articles benefit from transparent peer review and editorial guidance on making all source data openly available. And this is our gateway page of F1000 Research. Now I'd like to welcome our speaker, Dr. Hazar Bibas, who is a lecturer in the Statistics Department of the College of Administration and Economics at Salahuddin University, Erbil. He received his master's degree scholarship in Applied Statistics at the University of Central Florida in the United States of America and completed his PhD in Applied Statistics at the University of Salahuddin, Erbil. He is also a founder of the STAT Office for Statistical Data Analysis and Training. He trained all undergraduate and postgraduate students to write their thesis and dissertations. In the STAT Office, he has worked with several master's and PhD students and companies as external supervisor or consultants. He also supervised several final year projects of bachelor's and postgraduates in his field. He also worked as an editorial board member, international advisory board member, quantitative research specialist, scientific committee member for many international journals. He is also an external peer reviewer in various international research journals and has been invited as a keynote speaker at various international conferences across the globe. Once again, I'd like to welcome you, Doctor.
Thank you so much for your invitation. Okay, may I start it?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay. Thank you so much for everyone. I would like to thank to the Q for Research and Publication for this invitation. I'm so glad today to be here to speak in one of the topic entitled Process of Data Analysis in Scientific Research. I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar for how to do data analysis in scientific research, but in this webinar, I'm gonna say something might be you know or don't know. Before I'm starting, Carl Pearson, which is one of the statisticians, he said, statistics is a grammar of the science. That's why this is one of the key that every different measures need one of the statistician to work to them to make or to expand their papers much better than that they have it. What's the process of data analysis in scientific research? First of all, we have to know what's the problem or phenomenon that we're going to work on it. And then how we're going to collect the data, how we're going to organize it, and analyze it, the data that we have been collected. Today, I'm going to focus each of these steps in deep, and then you're going to get the result. Select the problem or the phenomenon. How are we going to select the problem? For example, if I said divorce, of course, divorce is a problem, but it's not the exact title that we want to work on it in our research. So we have to expand that title. If we said reasons for divorce, is much better than just we say divorce. If I said statistical analysis for the most influential reasons for divorce, it's much better, but it's not specific. It's too general, okay? I'm going to add statistical analysis for the most influential reasons for divorce between men and women. In here, we can see, you want to see the compare between the boy and girls. What's the reason behind the man or woman that they want to be divorced? To more specific, I'm going to add in Erbil city, which is one of the city in Iraq as a country. Now, this is the clear, precise topic that I could work as a researcher to see what's the influential reasons for divorce between men and women in Erbil, Iraq. Process of collecting the data. How are we gonna collect the data? There is a steps. First of all, we have to know what the population that we have it, that you're gonna work on it, and then choose the sample size that you needed using the Cochrane formula. And then what's the sampling plan? Which sampling you're gonna use it? Source of data collection, which source is appropriate for your data collection, methods of data collection, construct a questionary structure, and then pilot or pretest. These 7 steps follow, you're going to follow it to collect the data as a researcher. Might we have more, but I'm going to talk about these common or important steps one by one. Calculate the sample size, okay? Every researchers, they know that they have a good sample size. We don't need to collect a small sample size, because if you have a small sample size, it's not going to represent the entire population that you have it. Or if you collect more sample size, it's going to take cost, and you don't want to spend much money. That's why we're going to collect the enough data or sample size from the population. How? From the Cochrane formula. For example, one important thing to collect the sample from the population, you have to know the proportion of the data set. For example, suppose that you want to estimate the proportion of the adults, just adults who have their own smartphone in the UK. A sample of 100 people has been taken. If 59 of them, they have their own smartphone. From 100, just 59 of them, they're going to use the smartphone. It means your proportion would be 59%. How we got this? 59 divided by 100. That's important to know the proportion from the population that you have it, which is one of the key from the Cochrane formula. we're gonna reduce uncertainty as much as we could in our sampling collection. For example, in here, if 95% of the confidence interval for our estimate based on our sample size 100 ranged from 49.36 to 68.64. If you look at this confidence interval, you can see 59% would be included in that range, which is fine. That's the two common Cochrane formula. If you use the N naught, which is the first one, you don't have the population size in here. If you use the second one, which is the completion for the first one, you have the N capital as a population size. What do we need? We need the Z value, 95 confidence interval, which is 1.96. This is the Z value that we have. And then we need the proportion estimation, P, as we discussed before, from the adults who have the smartphone from the UK. Some of the researchers said, how about if I don't know what's the proportion from the population? There is two solutions. One of them, you can ask someone else, or you can read some other research that related to your work to see what's the exact proportion, or you can just say 50%, which is the half of them, to solve that problem if you don't know what's the exact proportion. Q is 1 minus proportion. E is a margin error, 5%. You can reduce the margin error to increase the certainty. If you reduce margin error, your sample size would be much preferable. And then N is the whole or the total population that you have. Depending on these information that you have you're gonna get the exact sample size using these two equations. If the thing is not easy and you are not a great background in mathematics, you can use the online equation, which is the same equation that you have just write down the confidence interval, margin error, population proportion, and then population size. You're gonna get the exact sample size as you have it in that calculation by your hand. Once you know your sample size, for example, you're gonna collect 500 samples from the population, you have to know which sampling is the best. You have two types of the sampling, random sampling and non-random sampling. Random sampling, it means every single element in the population has equal chance to be selected. If you see that the selecting cases from the population is random, you can use that type. In here you have 4 or 5 common from the random sampling: sample, stratify, systematic, and cluster. Even you know that the random sampling is the best for your data collection, you have to know which one is the best under the random sampling. For example, I said stratified, I'm gonna classify between male and female as a gender, or which one is the best, or non-probability sampling, which is in here, there is no equal chance from the population that would be in your sample. It means in here, as a researcher, you're gonna select who would be in your team as a sample. We have 4 common types: convenience, judgment, quota, and snowball. For example, the soccer coach gonna select 21 players. He's gonna decide who is be in his team in his country, depend on their skills, age, weight, speed, and so on. You're going to select their samples. Definition of the data. Data are special type of the information generally obtained through the observations, survey, or are gathered as a result of the human activity for the purpose research. Most of the researchers said data is a universal language. It doesn't matter where you're going to work, when you're going to work, and when do you work and when do you live. You can work together with the data. But the important thing, if the data collection is wrong, I'm sure your result would be wrong too. As Americans said, garbage is garbage. That's why you have to be careful. If you have a great data, of course, you'll have a great result and conclusion and decision. Types of the data. We have two common, scale and categorical. From the scale, you have the continuous, which is measured, and discrete, which is the exact number like age. We cannot say my age is 24.3. No, just you have to say 24, and that's. From the categorical, we have two types, ordinal and nominal. Nominal, we don't need to arrange it like the gender, male and female. Ordinal, you have to arrange it from the smallest value to the largest value, like the level of the education. Discrete, as we mentioned, this is the integer or the countable number, and continuous is the measurement value. There is an example from the stat course. One by one. What's your favorite subject? There is a different subject. The result is a nominal. Second one, gender, male and female is a nominal. But this is the binary because it's just 1, 2, 0, 1, like on, off. Third, I consider myself to be a good at statistics. This is the 5 Likert scale. Strongly disagree, disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree. This becomes a ordinal. Score in the recent degree of stat exam. Scores between 0% to 100%, it's become a scale. Source of data collection. We have two sources to data collection, primary source and secondary source. Primary source is the data that you have been collected by yourself. How are we going to create the questionary form? Once you have the questionary form, it means you're going to do the survey. You're going to create the questionary form and then distribute it for the area that you have been chosen as a sample from the population, and then return the forms. Secondary source is the data that someone else has been collected before you, and you're going to reuse it by their permission. You can find it from the book, papers, research, internet, website, any directories related to your title, and so on. Methods of data collection. We have several methods: online, face-to-face, mail, phone, or sometimes you can say the mix, 2 of them or 3 of them to save your time. Most of the researchers say, which one is the best? I couldn't say which one is the best for all the researchers. No, depend on the data set, depend on the population you have it, you're going to decide which one is the best. Maybe I said online to create the questionnaire form, depend on or according to Google Form or SurveyMonkey, plus phone or plus face-to-face. Because always you want to collect the data and save the time and money. That's why I recommend most of the researchers, you can use 2 of them or 3 of them together as a mixed mode. Questionnaire structure. which is the survey. How are we gonna create the great questionnaire form? Questionnaire is arts rather than the science. It takes longer time that you're gonna expect. Might be said, okay, I'm gonna finish it in 1 week, and then you see after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you're gonna be in the end of the questionnaire design. That's why you have to write down the first draft, second draft, third draft, and so on. How are we gonna start it? It's a great point to write down a cover letter in front of the questionnaire form. What's the purpose of this survey? Who gonna do? Why are you gonna do? Where are you gonna collect it? That's a good way to start. Hello, my name is this. I'm a student in this university, this college. I'm working a research entitled this. For the course title this, for master's degree, for PhD degree, for just a research. I'm wondering you, if you have a time, just fill out this form for me. Your correct answer is gonna help my research to be more attractive, more precise, accurate result, and so on. If anyone sees such a cover letter like that, they're gonna believe you that you are a researcher, that you are a scientific man or woman. That's why important. Sometimes I see some of the questionnaire without any cover letter. I don't believe them, and I'm not gonna decide to fill out that form. In the end, just say thank you so much for your time, because time is a money. That's why you have to respect the time for everyone. We have two types of the questions. Clause format, it's gonna force the responder to choose one of them. For example, said, are you smoking? Yes or no. Clause format is easy to fill out for both. For the responders, they're gonna check it. For you as a researcher, it's easy to code it, to enter the data, to analyze it, and so on. So it's easy to report the result. But we cannot always say clause format and clause format. We have the second one, which is the open format. Allow the respondent to freely answer the questions, whatever they want. You can fill out. Less restriction, of course. When we're going to use open format? Most of the time for the specific comment, feedback. For example, you have the restaurants, you're going to write your the comment for that restaurant, for the hotel, for your students' feedback, company feedback, and so on. And some of the questions or variable in your form should be, or it's much better than be open format, like the age. If you just write down age, what's your age? And then you can make any classification for the age that you have. For example, from 2029, 3039, 4049, and so on. Or I could say, no, this is not good for my research. I said below 30, 30 and up. Younger, older. And that age is a scale data. And then you can, in later, once you do analysis, you can make some comparison between age and gender, age and some other questions that you have it as a clause format questions to make the comparison between their means and so on, experience, salary, and so on. These questions should be open format. How do I ask the questions from the questionnaire form? Should be short and simple, like the KISS method. KISS method, it means keep in short and simple. Always try simple and easy questions. Ask one piece information in the time, not two information in one time. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry for that convenient. Okay. Ask one questions at the time, okay? For example, in here it said, please write the global environment class in terms of content and presentation. There is two things in one sentence. You have to make separation. Please write the class in terms of its contents. And then another question would be about the presentation. Okay, the question should be clear and easy to understand. Avoid the negative questions if you have it. Just make the positive question as much as you could, because easy for the responder to answer your questions in positive side. Start from the easiest questions. Questions should be logical, from the easy to the difficult. Start from the closed format questions as much as you could, because the closed format is easy for the responder to tick. And then if you have some open questions, put it in the end or behind the closed format. Personal questions, don't ask them what's your name, or your title is not related to the money and salary, how much you're gonna earn in month. No, you don't need it. Questions should be properly without hurting any words. Questions should be carefully framed so as to cover the entire title that you have it. For example, if your title needs 25 questions, you don't need to make less or more. If you less, someone else said you missed that question. If it's more, they said, no, that question is not related to your topic. As far as secret information should be thought, you don't need to tell someone that's her answer, that's his answer. No, just you are a scientific man and woman and you collected the data to see what's the result. Yes question is preferable. Questionnaire must first piloted and evaluated. We're gonna discuss about the pilot, why the pilot test is important. Our pre-test. Pilot test is a small number of samples. For example, you're gonna distribute 10 samples, 15 samples before you distribute the entire sample size that you have, like 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, and so on. What's the beneficial points behind the pilot test? Allow you to revise the questionnaire if needed. For example, one of the questionnaire in your thought, as a researcher said, most of them, they said, they should be said, agree, agree, agree. You see, most of them, they said neutral, 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 neutral. Why? Because they don't understand that question, that you have to revise it. Allow you to create closed format. Some of the questions you created the open format, you see, you got the different answers and it's not easy to classify later, and you got some wrong answers. It's much better for you to make it closed to get the exact response. And it's going to allow you to discuss with your friends. And also you can take out the reliability test using Alpha Cronbach in SPSS to see that questions are reliable or not. You have 5 questions in the first factor, 10 questions in the second factor. These questions related to each of the factors or not, you can do the reliability test using Alpha Cronbach. Once the data collection is done, the hardest step is coming, which is organize the data. Organize the data, it's not easy for most of the researchers. If you have the questionnaire form, first of all, you have to put the ID for each of the questions. Once you enter the data from the Excel or SPSS, if you make any mistake, it's easy to go back to your questions form because you have been ID'd for each of them. Cleaning the data and coding. You can remove duplicate cases. You don't need any duplicate cases. Remove incomplete cases. Find the outlier, because the outlier is one of the effective for most of the tests in statistics. Find the missing data. If you can find it, that's fine. Otherwise, you have to solve it. What's the missing? The data should be clear and error-free before you go to the data analysis process. Make transformation for any kind of the variable if you need it. For example, you have the weight and you want to find the body mass index. You have the weight and height. You have to find the body mass index formula before you go to the data analysis. 60% of the data science spend most time for the cleaning data, which is not easy. 60%. 57 of them said, the data science said, it's their least enjoyable task. It means they don't like to clean it. Once they collect the data directly, they want to find out the result, which is not good. You have to clean it and be free in errors, and then go to the analysis of data. From the analysis of data, before you're doing, might be sometimes you think you have to add some other data. If you don't need to more data, that's fine. From here, there is some tools. It's going to help you to easily find out results like SAS, R, SQL, Excel, MATLAB, Minitab, R, and SPSS. Goals of data analysis: to identify and understand the pattern of the data, to identify a relationship between two variables, to compare between two variables or identify the difference between the mean of two variables, to explain cause and effect, to forecast for the future. Data analysis. The main two topics of the data analysis is descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. Descriptive statistics, it's going to summarize or describe the data that you have been collected from the population. It's just a description. How are you going to describe from the frequency table, charts, measures of central tendency, and measures of dispersion? You can use these to find out the descriptive statistics. I'm going to say something in the next slide. From one of my paper, Statistical Analysis for the Most Influential Reasons for Divorce Between Men and Women in Erbil, Iraq. That's the frequency table. Among 494 divorced people in 2017, I could say 240 of them are male, 254 of them are female. That's the description. In here, you can say the percentage of female is higher than the percentage of male who got divorced in that year in Erbil City. Or make some difficult table or much higher level table, which compared between two categories, gender and level of education. From the level of education, you have these types. From the gender, you have men and women to make the compare between these. That's also the frequency table. That is one of the bar chart. It's going to give us the same result from the descriptive stats as a frequency table that we had before, but in different way. It's called chart. From that line chart, I have been make the comparison between three different countries, Kurdistan as a region of Iraq, Iraq country, and USA, to see the percentage of divorce between 2008 to 2017. If you see in here, USA is the top, followed by Iraq and then Kurdistan region. In my region, as a Kurdistan region, the percentage of divorce increased gradually from 2003 till 2015. One of the reasons in here, which the ISS came to our region. And most of the people, they lost their job. They don't have any money. That's one of the huge reason that the people in here got divorced. In here, if you have one variable as a scale, you can find the histogram as a graph. If the first one is scale and the second one also scale, you can make scatter plot to see what's the relationship between these. First one is scale, second one is a categorical. You can find the box plot. For example, level of cholesterol between men and women. Level of cholesterol is a scale. Men and women is a categorical. You can make two box plots to see what's the difference between these two. If you have a single variable as a category, you can either use pie chart or bar chart. If the first one is category and the second one is the scale, you can use box plots as you had before. It's the same. First one category, second one category, you can use the stacked bar chart, okay, or multiple bar chart. In here, you have two questions. If daily temperature and ice cream sales were related, this is the scatter. Why? Temperature is a scale data. Ice cream sale is a scale data. Both are scale. That's why you have to find out the scatter. Compare between reaction time of group having alcohol and a group drinking water. In here, you have a time as a scale data, and these two groups as a male-female. In here, alcohol and drinking water. That's why you can use either box plot or confidence interval plot. Inferential statistics, the second part of the statistical analysis. In here, we're going to estimate the population from the sample. We're going to estimate the population parameters from the sample that you have been collected. It means you have a sample. The result for that sample, you have it. It becomes the estimation for the entire population. How? There is a lot. You can use hypothesis test, compare the mean, one sample, independent, paired, ANOVA, or chi-square test between two nominal data sets, correlation and regression, factor analysis and time series. I'm going to focus some of them. In here, compare mean, compare between groups. If you have two groups, you can use independent t-test like male, female, smoker, non-smoker. If you have 3 and more groups, one-way ANOVA between 3 different countries, between 3 different universities. Second one, compare measurement within the same subject, per subject, same subject. If you have 2 groups, paired sample t-test. 3 and more, repeated measure ANOVA. Okay, for example, they're going to take pre-test, post-test, follow-up test. And here you have to use repeated measure. Pre-test, post-test, just 2 of them per sample. This is another paper in my site. There is some assumption behind these tests, independent sample t-test, paired sample t-test, one-way ANOVA, and so on. If the assumptions are met, you can do it. For example, in here, you have 2 variables. Overall depression in here, which is the scale data, and gender, male and female. You have 2 categories, so you're going to use independent sample t-test. P-value is significant. Yes, it's highly significant because it's less than 0.05. And then once you know the significant, you're going to look at the mean. Okay, the mean of female is higher than the mean of male. It means females have more depression than the male. But if you have more than 2 groups in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups as an age, you have to use one way or another. Is it significant? No, it's not that significant. Even there is some difference between these means, but it not becomes as significant. Chi-square. We're going to find out the relationship between 2 categorical nominal variables. For example, are boys more likely to prefer math and science than the girls? In here, the favorite subject, you have 2 subjects, okay? Math or science. And the gender, this is the binary, male and female. In here, both are nominal. Favor of the subject and gender. So in here, you can find the association between these 2 variables. Gender and favor of the subject depend on the chi-square test, according to the assumptions. In that paper, I've been found the chi-square test between men and women, and each of these factors to get divorced: second marriage, stingy, dominance, and so on. These are 5 Likert scale, the response for this, okay? We have 2 nominal. For example, if we talk about the second marriage, this is the nominal or the ordinal: strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. And men and women also, this is another binary variable. You can find the association between these 2, depend on the chi-square test. The p-value is significant, For all of them are significant. And then you can see the frequency, which frequency is higher from the men or women. For the first 4 of them, the frequency of the women is higher than the men. In the last one, the modern technology, the frequency of the men is higher than the frequency of the female. If we check the assumption of the data, like the normality, randomization, scale, and so on, homogeneity, and so on, one of them is not met, you cannot use these tests before, because these are the parametric tests. You have to come here to the non-parametric test. Instead of independent sample t-test, you can use the Mann-Whitney test. Instead of the PET sample, you can use Wilcoxon sign variance. The assumptions are free in here. You don't need to take any assumptions, okay? But in here, you're gonna compare the median instead of the mean that we have it before. From one of my book, Elementary Statistics, correlation. Correlation is the relationship between 2 independent variables. We have 3 methods to find: scatter, Carl Pearson, and rank Spearman. For example, what's the relationship between age and systolic blood pressure? Offshore, before we find it, we know this is the positive relationship. If the age increase, also the blood pressure would be increasing. The result that gave us 0.99, which is strong positive correlation between age and blood pressure. And this is the scatter plot. You can see most of the values from through one straight line. That's why I said you can say this is a strong positive relationship between age and blood pressure. Once the age increase, also blood pressure increase too. Regression. From the regression, once you know the correlation exists, so you can do the regression. But before you are doing the regression, you have to follow all the assumptions. It means all the assumptions should be met, like linearity, independent of error, normality, errors, equivariance, and so on. Otherwise, you have to fix it or find out some other tests, some other analysis. Same example, age and systolic blood pressure. And here, the important thing, you have to know which one is dependent, which one is independent. The depend variable, it means the fact that you have it. The independent is something that gonna affect, that gonna press on the dependent variable. For example, in here, everyone has a blood pressure. But what's going to affect the blood pressure? Your age, your weight, sports, food, and so on. These are independent variables. And then you're going to get that regression line, and that's the equation of the regression, which is blood pressure as a dependent variable equal 81.29 plus 1.63H. What does it mean? It means increasing 1 unit of the H would increase the blood pressure by 1.63. Thank you so much for everyone. This is really important for everyone. I'm glad to be here in here. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your time.
Is there any queries for the participants?
Hello?
Sir, is it audible? Sir, audible?
Yes, sir, it is audible. Kindly check the chat, doctor.
Okay.
Are you there, doctor?
Yeah, I'm done. Yes, I'm done. I'm just waiting you that the webinar is done. Is that finished or not? If anyone has a questions, you can ask me.
Doctor, there's a question in the chat. Could you please answer that?
Which question? Some of the questions not clear. If they are here, they can ask me directly. They can open their mic and ask me.
Okay, sir. I'm Prashant from Bangladesh. Actually, very interesting
Yes, sir.
session. You conducted lots of research idea at all here. How to conduct a research. Very good enough from your conversation. We lately understand. But my question is there. What kind of research I may conduct for in a social science background? So, what is the situation and what kind of research would be benefited for in social science?
What do you mean? It means which topic for the social science?
Social sciences in journalism and mass comm.
What do you mean? It means which topic is really important for you to do it as a social science research?
Okay, in maximum in science background, people say that is an quantitative research is a very good one, but in social science, people say in qualitative research is a very good one. So, is there in any diameter from you conduct in a research from qualitative or quantitative research? So, there is any guideline or any rules here to conduct that kind of research at all?
Yes, doctor, I got your point. Okay, you cannot say which one is the best.
Okay,
both
sir.
both are great, qualitative and quantitative. But it depends on the title you have it, the area that you are working on it. You have to think about it. This is the quantitative or qualitative.
Okay.
It's not by our opinion, no, just always go to the quantitative, and so on, or qualitative. Both are great, okay? But for me, for example, the quantitative is much easier.
Okay, sir.
To collect the data, to enter it, to analyze it, to interpret it. Someone else said, no, the quality is much easier for me because this is just the interview or the focus group. I'm gonna interview 10 of them or 12 of the people and then combine their answers in one paragraph or two paragraphs. You got the point, doctor?
Okay, sir. I got your point very clearly. You can just emphasize the point at all here. And
Thank you
I
so
think
much.
it will be very good for me at all here. I can understand.
Yeah.
So my another
Yes.
point of view, you know that in when we can conduct in research in social science, we cannot got a funding, but in can start in the look like in pure science, we can got easily funded from when I can want to project or any work at all here. So tell me what the reason why we cannot found in very fund in social science background, look like in journalism and mass comm. So what the reason you can think at all?
Yes, you're right. You know, why it's easy to find the fund for the medical science, for example, instead of the social science. For the medical science, most of the company, they want to test their production
Okay.
to find the new solution for any kind of the problem. And then they're gonna sell it in the future. For the social science, not like that. Who's gonna fund you? Okay, most of the time I'm searching on the internet. I see there is one medical science department. They are trying to find one of the statistician, one of the data analysis specialized to work with them as a team to find out, to discover one of the problems that they have it.
Okay.
Because in the future, if they solve it, they will collect a lot of money. For example, in the beginning of the COVID-19, no one said what's the vaccine, what's the exact vaccine for the COVID-19. Everyone trying to work, every country, every researcher, and so on.
Okay.
And then when they found it, okay, who is be the first? For sure, every different country, they need that vaccine. That's why it's much easy to find or to get the fund from the pure science or medical science rather than the social science. We have the same problem in here.
And right now, so you can just very rightly you can address the why the reason actually here. So is in our country the scenario is the same because I am from Bangladesh actually. So
Yes, sir.
the developing country look like that Bangladesh and India in subcontinent. The whole scenario is the same, I think at all.
You're right. You're right, doctor. Yes, yes. Thank you so much for the questions.
Hi, Doctor.
Hello, doctor.
Yeah, this is in respect to survey research.
Yes.
How many items minimum that is required to develop a construct? That was my question in survey research, like latent variables to determine the gravity or the to develop the construct. How many items that minimum at least should we have some minimum there?
Yes, doctor. As we said, once you want to design the questionnaire form, none of the book till now said you have to write down 20 questions, 30, 35, and so on. It depends on the title that you have it, and the research questions you have it, and the hypothesis you have it. You have to write down the questions. As I said, the number of the questions from the questionnaire form should not be more than that you need it or less than that you need it. That's why, as you said, design the questionnaire form. It's more like the art rather than the science. It takes more time than you expected. First of all, you're going to write down the first draft. For example, you're going to put 20 questions and then search from other research related to your work, what they use it and you don't use it, and put it. And then you can join with your other researchers. I have this questionnaire form. What's your opinion for my questionnaire form? And keep going. And also you can do the pilot study test to see that these questions are related to your work or not, or even you need more and more. Or you can send to some jury members to evaluate your form that they relate to your topic or research or field. That's why you cannot say how many questions is enough to any topic. Okay, doctor?
Sir, is it audible? Sir, sir, can you hear me?
Is there any other questions?
Okay, okay, sir. This is my not question at all here, my suggestion at all here. You
Yes, sir.
very successfully you can complete it today's webinar. So it's very good to good for our at all here. But it will be the better if you can organize that physical conference look like it. It will be the better for everyone. I hope. What are you can just show in the in internet and via Zoom platform, but it will be the too much better from seeking what are you can show for the research area and what are you can show the total uh, the point of research. So how we can conduct the data analysis, data research. So I think it will be the better for us if you organize that kind of conference from your hometown, and it will be the better for our because we are so lots of guide here. I think it will be the better for to learn properly from that kind of
Right.
initiative. Okay, sir. So you
Right.
can yes, sir. You can share, sir.
I'll try my best. Okay, for sure. I'll try my best to manage one of the conference for data analysis, process of data collection, doing research, literature review, introduction, and so on. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Thank you so much for your suggestion.
Hello, hello, doctor. Am I audible?
Almost 1 hour. Have you done, doctor?
Yeah, sorry. Am I audible? I'm Dr. Vijay Bandi
Yes.
here.
Yes, doctor.
Yes. So I am Dr. Vijay Bandi from MIT Walpis University, Pune, India. So we do research on animal behavioral studies. My question is there. So we give some drug to say in group of animal, say 8 animals, and whenever I do analyze the data, sometime maybe we don't give the drug properly or something. Some data totally will come differently from the other group of the animals. So because of that one data or the 2 animal data, if I do the statistical analysis, I don't get significant results. So can we consider this one as the outlier? If it is outlier, what is the guidelines are there? I mean, how much percentage of the outlier can be excluded from data analysis? So this I want to know.
Okay, I got your point. Okay, you have the 2 groups of the animals,
Yeah.
and once you found the relationship between these 2, you see there's no significant result. And you said you have the outlier. How many outliers should be removed, or how are you going to decide which one is outlier or which one is not? Okay. For example, if you are doing the correlation, okay, we don't say always all the outliers should be removed, because some of the outliers, they are really important to be stay in your model to get more appropriate model. And some of them, they have to be deleted because they're gonna change the direction, the pattern of the line or regression line or correlation line that you have. So once you have the data from the cleaning section, you have to see how many outliers you have. If you just draw one box plot, it's easy. You can see how many outliers you have it and which one is more effective. First of all, you can delete one of them and then reanalysis to see what's the result it becomes. And then if you see it's still not significant or not qualified result, go to delete some other outliers which they are effective. Keep going and keep on do it again and again, and then finally to see which result is the best. It means, as I said, you don't need to remove all the outliers in one time. You have to think about, as a researcher, which outlier more effective, more changeable. Okay, doctor?
Yeah, got it. Thank you, doctor. Thank you very much.
Most welcome, doctor. Most welcome. Should we end it? Hello, doctors. If none more have a question, we can end of the webinar.
Thank you, Doctor. That was a thought-provoking talk on the concepts. Thank you for imparting your knowledge and remarks on process of data analysis in scientific research. Your examples were fascinating, and the slides you showed gave us a clear understanding that we couldn't have gained in any other way. On behalf of Quvae Research and Publications, I extend our gratitude for sharing your time and thoughts with us.
Thank you.
And here is our upcoming webinar on AI and 21st century skills, presented by Dr. Mutmaina on 27 January 2023. You can register through our website for this webinar. And participants will receive your certificate and presentation document within 7 to 10 working days. Thank you.
Thanks, sir, for your presentation today.